This is the smallest, highest quality variable aperture pancake lens in the world. Right, today we're talking about the Brighton Star 28mm f2.8 pancake lens. They call it a biscuit lens, but I think they mean a pancake lens. It's tiny. Pancake lenses are hard to come by, especially for Sony full-frame cameras. This one comes in at $339 or $360 with the adapter, because you need an adapter to use it with your Sony camera. And you can also get a tiny little filter, which is actually on the front of this lens right here. And it's a 25.5mm filter, which you buy straight from Brighton Star. And it has the same kind of design. It is very, very nice. But it's not cheap. Pancake lenses are normally like $80, $100. So $339, what is that getting you? Well, it has one thing that no pancake lens of this size has. And that is an adjustable aperture. It goes from f2.8 all the way up to f16, which is really quite incredible. The aperture gets changed by this little ring right here. So if I spin the ring, you're going to see that the aperture changes. And that is very unique to this lens right here. On the back, you can see it has a massive, and I mean a massive piece of glass. That is why it's so heavy. And not only is that the reason why it's so heavy, but this is brass. This is a brass lens. It is a very nice lens. It's got this kind of antique, vintage look to it, but it's a brass lens, and it has been hand painted with a black lacquer, which is very nice. And like I said, the filter on the front, which you basically just screw on, 25.5mm, also has the black kind of lacquer going on. Now, changing the f-stop isn't easy. It's quite small. It really is quite small. And you have to kind of do it with the tip of your finger, which I've got used to, and that's absolutely fine. The focus is right here, and I found at close focus it gives you a fairly nice kind of bokeh. It kind of cuts the background out a little bit, not much, but a little bit. It is a 28mm lens. If I want focus, for example, like I'm just shooting out in the city, I'm going out and I don't want to care about the focus. If I set it just where the 5 is on the 15 or in the middle of the 15, it's about perfect, and everything is sharp. Everything is literally sharp. So that's pretty nice about this lens. It does have a minimum focus distance of 70 centimeters. So inside this lens here, we have 6 elements in 5 groups. That is how the optical design looks like. And like I said, it goes from f2.8 all the way to f16. It is a variable aperture with 9 blades inside. We do have meters and feet on the actual markings, and they're really visible. And the actual diameter is 51.4mm, and the height is not even 1 centimeter of this lens. So that is really impressive. And it comes in at 125 grams. So it is a very light lens. And it has a 75.3 degree field of view in here. It has MC multi-layer coating. And like I said, you can pick up this little tiny filter on here for $36. Now, if you do put it on the actual adapter, this is the Sony adapter, you can get adapters for just about anything. This is the LM to NEX mount, and that's how much bigger it becomes. It's not a lot bigger, and it doesn't actually become a lot bigger. I mean, I could say it's probably about 3-4 millimeters higher, so it's really small. You do get a lens cap for the back, and you actually get a lens cap for the front if you don't have the filter on. If you have the filter on, you have to take the filter off and put the lens cap on. It is also metal brass, so that's really nice. Now let's get to examples of this lens. I've only been using it as a photo lens. I haven't been using it as a video lens at all, but I will show you 1 or 2 video examples just so you can see what it looks like. But it is very sharp for what it is. So these examples are around my area in Łódź, and it's literally me walking around with the lens for about a week, taking photos everywhere I go, looking for interesting compositions, seeing how it looks like with close focus, and seeing how it looks like at dusk, during the night, out a window, the hotel that is getting destroyed, inside, with my children, It's really been a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot about this lens. The focus is fantastic. The aperture hasn't changed at all. These are all on f2.8 because that is how I like to use this lens. It is full of character when I use it that way, and I've really had a lot of fun with it. As you can see, it's really great at just documenting every single day life. And outside, it's very sharp. The corners at f2.8 are a little bit soft, but I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. It's a lens that I put on f2.8, I go out and all I do is change the shutter speed and I document stuff. Now, I do like how it feels. I love that I can stick it in my pocket. I love that I can go out and not worry about having a massive lens with me, because I put it on my Sony ZV-E1. I go out with it in my pocket and that's it. It does a really, really good job. So those are pretty nice, right? I mean, it has a very nice street photography kind of look, and you can even get some really nice portraits on it, but it does have 70 centimeters as the minimal focus distance, which is really far for a 28mm lens, but I'm guessing the constructional lens wouldn't allow it to get any closer. Now let's talk about charts. Charts are important to some people, so let's go over the distortion, sharpness, and the vignetting so you guys can have a look at what that looks like. So there is a bit of distortion on this lens, and in Lightroom it's really easy to correct. I have it on +8, +9, and that seems to get rid of it, but none of the photos you saw were corrected, so I don't think you'll ever notice. Sharpness in the middle is very sharp from f2.8 all the way to f16, but 5.6 seems the best. If we're talking about corner sharpness, that's a completely different thing. The corner sharpness on 2.8, as you can see, is very bad. 5.6, it's still not great, but at f16, it's pretty sharp. And at f16, it's basically sharp all the way around. But I do like using it at f2.8, and it doesn't stop me at all. Flare is pretty normal, maybe a little bit over-exaggerated. I do like it in some circumstances. There are a couple of examples in the photos. And there are sun stars, if you drop it all the way down to, say, f8, 11, 16, it does start getting like sun stars. They're not crazy sun stars, but they do start getting starry. Chromatic aberration on this little lens is out there, and it's a little bit more pronounced than it would be on something like the Sony G or GM Master lenses, but it's okay. It's nothing that you can't really get rid of later on in post on this lens. When it comes to this focus, by the way, I do like it because I have my finger here and I'm basically just pulling focus like that on my Sony a7S III or my Sony ZV-E1. Now, talking about the focus breathing, the breathing isn't really that bad because the focus doesn't really change that much, and you know, it's a tiny little thing, so hasn't got that much breathing when you're using it for video work, though I don't think anybody's actually going to be using this for video work, more for kind of out and about street photography. So we have talked about the minimum focus, and it is really, really long for a 28mm lens. We would be thinking about, say, 30 centimeters, 25 centimeters, but 70 centimeters is a long distance, and I wish it was closer. If it was like 30 centimeters, we can get a lot more, you know, nice out of focus bokeh going on. And the bokeh isn't bad. It's actually really, really nice. The bokeh balls are pleasant. The out of focus areas are also pleasant when you have them. And, you know, it does a nice job. So who is this tiny little lens for? I think if you want a really high quality lens, like the Brighton Star 28mm, a high quality pancake lens that you can get in just about every single adapter, because it comes in the Canon RF, Nikon Z, the Fuji XF, the Fuji GFX, the Sony E, and it is a Leica M native lens. So you can basically put it on anything you want and it will work. But I think it's for the street photographer. I think it's for the traveler, because being an f2.8 lens, it's fantastic at nighttime. So it's not an f5.6 like a lot of other pancake lenses, because they're constructed in such a way that there's no way for them to, you know, have a variable aperture. But if you want something that's small and has a variable aperture from, you know, 2.8 all the way to f16, this is what you're looking for. It is fantastic at street photography, and I have had a blast using it for street photography. It gives a very nostalgic feel, a very old school feel that makes me feel like when I'm taking a photo, it looks like something that should have been taken 30 years ago, if you know what I mean. Even if there's a new car or something in the way that kind of ruins the look of the photo I'm taking, it still has this kind of vintage, old school look to it. So if you're looking for that and you're looking for something that's high quality in a pancake lens, the Brighton Star 28mm f2.8 lens is the one you should be going for. Anyway, if you want links, they're going to be down below. If you did like my video, give me a like. There are going to be a lot more lenses coming because I have over 100 lenses over there. There are tons. And I'm going to be going through them one by one because I love lenses. I love lenses absolutely to bits. Subscribe, like, all that jazz. Catch you guys on the next one. Brighton Star, thanks for sending this over. It's absolutely fantastic.